how do I use AI to solve problems? And I think as you get better educated, you learn more places to use the technology.
He said, play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for children, play is serious learning. So here's what I ended up doing. I took screenshots and I used scrolling screenshots, and I took screenshots 1/4 at a time.
Right.
And I captured 700 or 800 transactions that all took place over the course of 2025.
Wow.
Right. So 700 or 800 transactions, a little bit of a pain, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I then created a Claude Code project, and I said, take these screenshots, analyze them, extract individual transactions, and put them into a JSON file, basically set up a database in a different directory.
Right.
That listed all the transactions, and I said, and assign them a category that makes sense based on what the application is.
Right.
And also assign them, tell me whether they're annual or monthly or one-time purchases.
Right.
Some of that information was in that screenshot, some wasn't.
Right.
The categories weren't in the screenshot, but I knew Claude would look at the application, do a little bit of research, figure out what it did, and assign a category.
Right.
So pass one was it basically went through all these screenshots and built me a little database of those 700 transactions.
Yeah.
But then I said, and here's what you couldn't do very easily without Claude Code if you were just doing this in a chat, because I needed to have this data persisted because I knew there were some problems.
Right.
Some of the problems were some of the transactions, the icon showed up, but the app name wasn't there. It just said something like monthly subscription.
Right.
But it didn't say the name of the app.
Of the app, of
Most
course.
of them did. Some didn't. And sometimes they got the category wrong.
Right.
And there were a few other weird things. So I looked at those and I went through them, and I'm looking at those screenshots, and I realized they have you ever use the memory feature of Claude Code?
Yeah. Of
So
course.
how do you use memory?
How do I, actually, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. I do not use memory in Claude. Yeah, I was thinking something else. I don't.
So memory in Claude is kind of interesting because if you start a line in the Claude terminal command with a hash sign, like a comment, it actually sticks that in the Claude markdown file that is part of what tells Claude what to do.
Right, yes,
So
right,
it's
right,
it's
right.
a memory.
Right.
You can write a reminder. So
Yes.
I just started making comments to Claude. I said, hash, the $3.49 monthly purchase is for the application Endel.
Right.
And it said, great, I'm going to go through. And it not only did it go through and update the database, it had already, without me asking it to, it generated a summary of what was in the database, spending by category, et cetera, et cetera. It went through and updated all the outputs it had already generated.
Oh, wow.
And so I just issued it a bunch of memories and said, well, this should be this category, and this thing for this amount is actually this application.
Yeah.
And one of them I couldn't find, and I said, look at the thing that is, $7.99 on March 3rd. Figure out what that application is based on the icon and update all the similar entries. And it went and did it. So I used it to extract data from the screenshots, and I used it to clean up and curate that data.
Right.
And then I said, all right, create me a couple of analyses. I'd like an analysis by category, spending by category. I'd like spending by month, subdivided by category, et cetera, and make them pretty. And it created me some nice looking markdown files that I could print out and look at that showed me all my spending. It was really fun.
It's fun, but it just, think about the amount of time that you saved doing all this. And
This
all
all
the
took me less than an hour end to end.
I know all the dependencies that you've had to manage, and it just took care of it all. Like you said, update one thing, and it took care of all the additional files that were dependent upon that. And that's just, traditionally, that's just hard. Honestly, it's not, that's a lot of work to do.